Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Really San Francisco, the podcast about all things regarding our beautiful Bay Area of life in the 415. I am here with my incredible co host, Richie Greenberg, who is
Yay.
out in the wild.
I'm out in the wild. I'm actually set up in Golden Gate Park, beautiful Golden Gate Park, and I can't believe it. There's no fog. We have been experiencing fog for weeks and weeks, even months. That's why we call this month of August Fogust. But nothing today. Wow, blue skies. I'm on JFK Drive, which is a permanently closed street that runs east and west, and there's a lot of joggers and people on bicycles and trikes and dog walkers and moms pushing their strollers. So it's a wonderful day. And what do we have in store for today's episode, Erica?
Well, we have two big subjects, but we want to start off this episode with some losses. We did lose
Yeah.
two incredible American icons, and it would be not right to ignore their passing.
Yep, that's true. And there are two that have been part of American culture, part of cinema in one way, and we've grown up. You and I have grown up knowing both of these. And so, who are they? Who've passed away?
I mean, of course, Dolly Parton, and I can't say that she had a connection to San Francisco outside of her being a gay icon. She was definitely uh, represented in drag across the country, very much so here in San Francisco. And I think one of the reasons, of course, is because of her kindness and her glamour, her sparkle, and her overall just accepting people for who they are without being controversial, which is what a
That's
balance.
that's that's really interesting. That's very
Yeah.
true because if you see now the outpouring on
Mhm.
social media of those who have been, regretting her passing and honoring her legacy, you see it comes from across the political spectrum because I think that unlike a lot of other um, people who have been in the public eye, she didn't seem to rattle anyone, did she? I think she was beloved by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think beloved is definitely the right word.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was thinking another adjective I would use for her is that she epitomized graciousness,
yeah,
that sort
yeah.
of kindness that you exude when you give everybody a break, but you're still
Mhm.
strong.
And she wasn't controversial, right? There wasn't really anything that she did. It was all just seemed to be very fun, upbeat,
Mhm.
uplifting, and good feeling around her
Yeah,
and her music.
certainly, I'm sure that there was some controversy. Nobody escapes life without it. However, she she really was she was a true American in the
Yep,
best way. The
yep.
other person, of course, is Tim Curry.
Yeah,
And
Tim Curry.
which is, I think,
Yeah.
as a pairing, it's really fascinating because they both were over the top in their looks.
Hmm.
Rocky Horror Picture Show, of
Yeah,
course, is
of
one
course.
of the great
Doc,
American movies.
Dr. Frankenfooter.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little
Dr.
confession here.
Yeah.
Um, there was something about his role that was really sexy,
Mhm.
and I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it was that sort of overt sexuality, that almost assertiveness blended with wildness.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful, beautiful role.
Irreverence,
Mhm.
irreverent. Where his character, Dr.
Yeah.
Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror, do you remember where he came from? That's part of the
No.
song. It's from transsexual
Oh, well, yes.
Transylvania.
Yeah.
That's where he's from. Yes.
So, did you see Rocky Horror when you were growing up?
I did.
Mm.
It was in junior high school, I believe it was, and so you could do the calculations, and it's dating me, right? My age, but that was when it was still a big thing, relatively new back in the '70s, and I remember even some of my classmates would during lunchtime would put on skits doing the time warp again. and
Yes.
they love that, right? Today, it just doesn't feel the same thing as it did back then because it was like a national craze that just swept
It,
the country.
however, I was at my gym. My gym is the Crunch on Polk Street, Upper Polk,
Oh,
and
now your gym is, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I have to say, one of the within last month they were playing Rocky Horror Picture Show because it used to be
Uh,
a grand old cinema,
hmm.
and they still have the screen, and they were playing Rocky Horror, and it was a crowded day and everybody was watching and
Yeah,
laughing and it brought smiles. It's such a timepiece, such an important movie, such a great guy, and both are going to be missed. And
yeah.
it was interesting. Somewhere online, somebody put the two together: Dolly Parton and Tim Curry when
Tim
he was
Curry,
dressed as
yeah,
right
yeah.
in that role, and their look was very similar. It was
Ah,
makeup and
yeah,
elaborate glamour, if in its own funny way. So both 80 years old, both passed.
yeah.
Um,
They'll be missed.
they'll be missed
They'll
for
be missed. Yeah.
sure. Okay. So the next
All
two
right.
subjects that we have for today, what are they, Richie?
Well, right now, the first one, I think we're going to jump right into a very controversial subject, a controversial um, service, let's say, service of all these cameras that have been popping up and installed in cities across America by a company called Flock Safety. So we're talking about flock cameras,
Yeah.
flock flock of birds, flock of seagulls.
Mhm.
And what do you know about them? What is it that
Well,
is problematic?
it's I will take the opposite side. I think they're perfectly fine. I'm really glad that they're here. There's approximately 450 to about 500 cameras. Most of them are in the eastern side of the city, so you're looking at Soma, the Mission, Dog Patch, high crime areas. They have made a tremendous difference in crime fighting and in catching the bad guys that we would not otherwise be able to catch for a multitude of reasons. Do I, and maybe you could take the opposite side here, Richie,
Well,
because
probably.
I am a
Let's give
fan. I think they're great.
let's do a quick background. So Flock Cameras, it's a
Mhm.
Flock Safety is the company. They're
Mhm.
based in Atlanta. And what it is, what a flock camera is, an automated license plate reader or ALPR, right? ALPR. And these cameras that are on telephone poles, light poles around strategically placed areas, right? They capture photos of vehicles, they capture license plate numbers, and they can tell with AI and other assistants, they can see what kind of vehicle it is, the make, the model, other details, and it gets stored in the cloud in their system. So it
For
says
I believe
here,
100 days.
okay,
It's
yeah,
on a
yeah,
limited
okay, is that it?
basis. Mhm.
So the company has distributed across America over 100,000 cameras. Between 100 to 120,000 cameras are out there. So you mentioned, what was it, 400 or so that are in San Francisco, but
Mhm.
across America, there's up to 120,000 of them in nearly every state, and they're used by law enforcement agencies and some private entities. So you've got the supporters, such as you. You've got people who are on the fence, which is like me, and then you have a lot of individuals and uh, uh, elected officials and candidates running for office who are definitely against it. Um, so you've brought up the reason to support these around, and I see the point with that, Eric. I see like police departments. They say the system is helping to solve crimes faster, recovering stolen vehicles,
Yeah.
locating missing people,
Yeah.
tracking suspects in robberies and shootings and other
Mhm.
horrendous things in near real time or after the fact. And they don't need a warrant for searches because what happens is these cameras using the system, they capture license plate data. It's in a searchable database. And so law enforcement can log right in, put in whatever basic search information that they're looking for, whatever criteria
Mhm.
prompts. and then find where this vehicle went. And that's where you and people like you look at that as being a wonderful, fantastic tool to be able to solve crimes.
I would, wonderful and fantastic, I probably wouldn't use, but I would say it's an effective tool. I don't see much downside. I've heard it both from the hard right and well, I would say, would I call them the hard right? It's kind of hard to say. But
Yeah.
on an extreme polarization regarding politics, you
Yeah.
have people on the very hard left who are saying, this is not right. There was a big protest at Chris Larson's house, not far
Yeah.
from me,
That's right.
by the way.
Yeah. Just a couple of days
And
ago. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
they had masks on and they were just acting like fools, in my opinion. And it was just, the protests and the extremism is just too much. It's stupid to me. It's
Yeah.
really stupid. But on the other side is people who are pounding on the desk saying we don't want a nanny state, we don't want to be viewed. And I kind of understand that, but the thing is, it's happening.
Yeah.
We cannot put this genie back in the bottle. It's out. There are surveillance cameras everywhere. You want to go traveling, you want to go to the airport, you are being watched literally
Yep.
every angle from the
Mhm.
top of your head to the bottom of your toes.
Yep.
I,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have actually started to say no, I don't want to have my face in the camera when they take a picture as I'm going through, just as a matter of because I can,
Yeah.
but it's a bit silly because who the hell cares? People know that
Yeah.
you're there anyway.
Yeah.
It's all trackable, traceable. It's almost like kind of shouting at the wind. So
Now here's some of the arguments that I've come up that I've found doing some research on
mm,
who are again the reasons against these flock cameras and this kind of searchable database of collecting of vehicles. So vehicle data. So first of all, it's a warrantless mass surveillance. So
mm,
they say the cameras scan every passing vehicle continuously, and
mm,
they build location histories, and it can reveal patterns of daily life like home, work,
yeah.
medical visits, all of that. That goes beyond traditional public observation and raises Fourth Amendment concerns, especially with the scale of interconnected networks with billions of scans across America monthly. So that was one thing. It's a mass surveillance, and you think of connotations of things like what are happening in like China, for example.
Oh
Second,
boy,
yeah,
before you go
yeah.
on,
I have two more, but
it's
yeah,
interesting,
yeah, yeah,
yes, but it's interesting that you bring up China because
yep.
China has taken uh, this technology to the nth degree.
The
And and
extreme,
right,
yeah,
and it's interesting to me that people who are the DSA folks and the people who are on the very hard left, committed communists and socialists,
yeah,
they look to China as being a great place, a place to aggrandize, and
and
yet
yeah, and to pattern,
talk
yeah,
about
to
right.
copy, yeah, yeah.
So I haven't heard anything about that. Right?
Mhm.
Well, are you okay with that? So anyway,
Yeah.
go on.
Then related to that, police misuse and stalking. So this is just what has come up in my research. Dozens of documented cases involve officers using the flock system for personal reasons, tracking romantic partners or exes or other hundreds like this, others hundreds of times. Officers in Milwaukee or Arizona cities, Ohio, Georgia, or elsewhere who face discipline or charges or resignations, forced to resign because they're misusing this data to stalk people. Um, I see that. I understand that. Um, I don't know how widespread that is, but it's a pretty horrendous use of this kind of. But you
Yeah, but
know,
that's blaming the technology
they could also go.
for,
These officers could just go on their bike or their
of
car
course.
and go sit outside an ex's home and
Yeah,
stalk them that way.
I
So
don't think that's a valid argument. I mean, you
yeah,
can say the same thing about
yeah,
having a cell phone with, and that you can track people with Find My. There's all kinds of
yeah,
different things. So does
yep,
that mean we just toss
yep.
out our cell phones? Of course
That's
not.
it. And then
So,
here's another one: data sharing with the federal agencies. Local data, in other words, what's been collected locally here in cities like here in San Francisco or elsewhere, they have been accessed and queried with federal agencies, including ICE and Border Patrol, for immigration enforcement and other out of state agencies, sometimes against what the local city's policies or state laws say. So that's what it is that is also freaking out some individuals, saying we have data protection laws in here in San Francisco that don't allow uh, the connection between local and ICE to
Mhm.
protect the right. So that's where there's a problem as well. And I could
Okay.
see that as being more of a issue that, say, left, hard left, and other people who are anti-ICE, anti-immigration
Uh-huh.
would say this is actually helping uh, ICE and Border Patrol. This is helping them. And so you have to do something to stop it, San Francisco. You can't do that, California, because we have sanctuary city, sanctuary state laws. You can't help. And yet, right here on city property, you have these cameras that are collecting data against what the policies and laws say.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
no, then it is going to depend on where you fall. Is it helping? Is it helping uh, do something that you don't want to have done? In other words, if you want to clamp down on ICE and eradicate, and it's helping ICE do their job, then okay, you're going to be pissed off about it. I get that.
yeah,
However, I'm going to be leaning into what I know from SFPD. They are big fans overall. Their ranks are still down by about 700 officers. This is helping them fill in those gaps, be in these places where they need to be right away to help the public. This isn't for their own, enjoyment. This is literally to help create a safer city, a better, the
exactly.
city that
Yep,
people want to live in. This isn't just, for the sake of safety. This is for the sake of a community, families, you name it. These are positive outcomes.
right.
So,
And that's where you have a problem, where you have those who are adamantly, rabidly against this, against flock being used for law enforcement. But then again, they want San Francisco to be safe. They want it to be clean. They don't want uh, the nefarious individuals who are robbing and stealing and breaking into cars, breaking into businesses, breaking into homes. Uh, they don't want them, but this is a tool of law enforcement. So again, you are pro flock. I'm
I'm
still
pretty pro
on the
front. Yeah, I
fence.
am. I am. I mean, I just
I
see more.
you're
I
a
see more
you're a
advantages
flocker.
than I'm a flocker.
Truly a flocker.
I definitely see
One
more.
hell of a flocker. And I'm
Fuck
still on the
you.
fence.
I definitely
Flock
see more
them.
advantages than I see
Flock them.
disadvantages.
And I'm on the fence because I still need a little bit more. And I think that originally, Erica, when we decided on this topic, we came up with this as being um, part one because we
Yes.
want in the future to revisit this fairly soon, and we will try and get individuals who can come on and explain better about what the flock cameras, the system overall, the access, the implications, the controversy, even better than us experts, maybe who are with there's anti-flock organizations, deflock, to
Yes.
deflock, that it would be great to have someone from deflock on, and maybe even someone who is from the flock organization, the company as well. So
Sure.
listeners, viewers, stay tuned when we then come back in a few days, few weeks with people who can talk even more in depth on this flocking subject.
I do want to say that the only downside that I see on a personal level is I feel there are places in this world where I don't want to be monitored. Of course, they're not in my home, but I would
Right.
the idea and just as being a human and being free that I am not being monitored is a wonderful thought, and it's something that I do value. So I'm not trying to take. I don't take this lightly. I
Yeah.
think it's a great tool for this purpose. However, I do understand. Like I have a very vivid memory of being in Thailand in the jungle, and I hiking. As much as I hate hiking, I was hiking, and I loved it back then.
You
But
hate hiking, but you love walking.
I love walking. I love walking in the
Flat.
city. I don't,
You don't like
nobody,
go through.
please do not
Oh, okay.
invite me on a stupid hike. Okay. But we can do a whole
Stupid.
subject on
Hikes are
episode on that.
stupid.
I know I don't like hiking. Fuck, I don't make me hike. No, but I do remember thinking nobody knows I'm here
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
and the guide and this girl from England.
Yeah.
And the freedom, the
Oh,
wholeness of
that
the
wasn't
universe.
that wasn't terrifying you. That was just giving you
It was
felt you loved that.
wonderful. It
Okay.
was
Okay.
wonderful. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was wonderful. And are we losing that? Yeah, we are losing that. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to take this lightly and just say that there are no downsides. To me, that's the
Right.
major downside is I do want to blend into this great big beautiful world of ours without any kind of surveillance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
However, that's not how it is. I'm not going to fight against reality. And reality is there's cameras everywhere.
And so
So,
this subject, the flock cameras, have penetrated into the political scene, and we have coming up in November. There are multiple um, races for supervisor, for example, here, the city council people,
mm,
and this is coming up. Do you, as a candidate, support or oppose flock cameras?
yes.
And this is what's helping to divide and differentiate one candidate from another. So we'll see what happens as we move forward on this topic as we get closer
Right. And
to November as well.
yeah, I mean, to anticipate what's going to happen with that,
Hmm.
my guess is that people are going to take a position. I don't think it will be an authentic position. I think it'll be the position that they
Uh,
think that their voters are going to
okay,
gravitate toward.
okay,
Because I think it is a nuanced subject. Unless you are an extremist, I don't think it's going to be there's just pros and cons, just like anything.
yeah.
So yeah. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of
And
this.
actually, that's a great
Mhm,
segue because now we're
mhm,
going to talk about some
mhm.
candidates running for Congress for the House of Representatives to represent San Francisco. We had the primary a couple of months ago in June, and there are two candidates that will go forward, are going forward to November's race, and they, in my opinion, have used in the same way a specific topic, and that has to do, unfortunately, with Gaza, support for uh, Gaza and Israel genocide allegations, things like that, just to try and what is it called? That's called to curry favor with the constituents, right? So what are we talking about now? We're talking about State Senator Scott Wiener versus Connie Chan, who is a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, our city council. The two of them, both Democrats, both leftist, left wing candidates that are moving forward to November.
That's right, with some major differentiating characteristics. I went to the Scott Wiener rally the other day, Women for Wiener, which was so absurd. I wanted to
Uh,
tear my hair out, but instead
yeah,
I just watched. Um,
it's kind of
so
funny. Women for Wiener, but he's so gay, so outlandishly gay that I don't think the feeling's mutual. You know,
yeah, I think
women for
it's
Wiener
a.
for your vote. He'll take your vote, and
I
women
was
besides that,
I found the whole thing totally
uh,
embarrassing listening
and
to the speakers.
disingenuous, disingenuous.
It's
Oh my
It
God,
was
I
grotesque, in my opinion.
uh,
I'm sorry. I think I left with the feeling this was, by the way, it was held at beautiful Alta Plaza.
yeah,
Gorgeous, gorgeous. It was just this past Saturday or Sunday,
yeah,
Saturday. What a day. It was stunning.
yeah.
The vista,
Like this. It
oh,
was like
absolutely.
beautiful.
That's right.
Blue sky. Yeah, yeah,
Mobs of tourists. So there was this
yeah,
big rally for Scott Wiener, who's under
yeah.
pressure right now
A
because
lot of
a
pressure.
lot of pressure. I
Yeah,
believe if I'm going to make a Kolschi uh,
yeah.
gamble right now,
Policy.
right?
That's Polly
Poly
market. Yeah,
market. Okay,
yeah,
I
yeah,
believe I
yeah.
would put five whole U.S. American dollars on
It's fine.
Connie Chan winning.
Connie Chan.
Yeah, I
And
think she's going to
part
win.
of that, one of the reasons is because she's got a major endorser,
Hmm.
actually, three, three well-known national political figures have endorsed her campaign, which are namely Pelosi,
Hmm.
uh,
Barbara Boxer.
at Barbara Boxer, really? All right. Adam Schiff and
Yeah.
Ro Khanna. So
Yeah.
actually, there's four, right? So,
Okay.
among other unions and other organizations. Now, why is this? People have asked me all the time, and I actually wrote a whole piece on this.
Mm.
Why has Pelosi not endorse Wiener? Why is Pelosi endorsing Connie Chan? And the reasoning that I came up with is because basically Pelosi wants to introduce a candidate, someone that she's going to endorse to Pelosi, to herself, existing donor base and activists and other
Mm.
fellow politicians and the donors, and to basically have the way to hand off her legacy and her whole network that she has cultivated over the years to a respectable, as far as you can, uh, respectable candidate to now take the reins from her, from Pelosi. And Scott Wiener does not embody that. Scott Wiener, he's rogue. He's doing things on his own. He doesn't care about Pelosi's legacy, and that's pretty much what I believe is the differentiator there.
Yeah, I think so. Well, during the rally, I can't remember if it was him or somebody else who spoke, said that the reason that there was a rift between Pelosi and Weiner is because he didn't go to her on bended knee and say, "Can I please get your endorsement?" And then that was the reason that she said, "How dare he move forward with his candidacy without checking in with me first?" I don't know if that's true.
Well,
That's the rumor.
explain what happened though. Have to explain what happened. That the House of Representatives in Congress, Pelosi and everyone else that's in the House, their terms only last 2 years. They
Mhm.
have to do a campaign and get reelected every 2 years, not like what we know of as every 4 years typically, right? So every 2 years, she has to run again. And so not that long ago, it was assumed that Pelosi, was going to uh, finish out her term and announce her retirement. But then she came back in again and said, you know what? I'm going to hang around for another 2 years, partly because Wiener then said, I am running for Pelosi's seat. And that was the force. That is what I think was also unforgivable
Mhm.
to Nancy Pelosi, saying, you're supposed to wait until I actually retire rather than now you wanting to come in and kind of playing poker and forcing cards. And this is what happened as well. You were
Look,
supposed to wait and you didn't.
and all this is now wine under the bridge. Doesn't
Correct.
freaking matter. What we do
Correct.
have is a fight. The fight is between Scott Wiener and Connie Chan. Both, neither of them do I endorse.
Both
I
are
have
horrible. They are
serious
horrible.
problems with each of them. But
Yep.
let's talk, let's look at who is supporting
Yep.
each and why.
Well, Dumb and Dumber, Left and Lefter. That's the way I looked at it. And you brought it up. I refuse to endorse either of them because they have horrendous policies, horrendous
It's
platforms, and they really wouldn't do anything in terms of representing
no.
us in a meaningful way.
Yeah, it's so sad that these are the people. One of them is going to go to Congress.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
who's the worst or
yeah.
who's the
That's
best?
it.
Who's the worst?
Left,
Okay, so
left and left, or Dumb and Dumber.
let's right. So, but I actually I don't think Scott Wiener is dumb. I really don't. I think he's a very smart person. But I think what
What he's doing is dumb. What he's saying is dumb. What he's supporting is dumb. And what he has done to many segments of San Francisco's voters and residents is really dumb. Uh, he's
can
thrown
we
the
just get
yeah, yeah.
back
Go
down
ahead.
to exactly what it
All
is
right.
that's
Okay.
driving the
Yeah.
difference, which is
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
YIMBY versus supposed NIMBY. It's this
That's
is
the way to look
what
at it.
it's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it's all about, folks, my dear
yeah,
darlings. It
yeah.
is the people who were at this rally. I didn't believe a damn word that any of them was saying. Oh, he's a feminist.
Yeah.
He's a fighter. I asked
Uh,
this one guy who came
for
up to
what?
me
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, he's going to stand up to Trump. That is not the
Irrelevant.
driving force.
That is totally irrelevant.
It is that he is a advocate for building up high dense building. That's what they want.
But
And
that's not.
90%, Richie,
Yeah, yeah. That's.
90% of the people who were at that rally came from the YIMBY movement. That's
But
why they were there.
that is really not a major part of what Congress does. That's the thing. There are bills that can be written and then voted on, but it's not one person. Wiener is not a king, and that's one of his favorite things. He
No, I
would he
agree.
would potentially he would present an idea, and then his colleagues would have to say, "Yeah, this is a good idea that we can advance and then get to eventually, hopefully, to the floor to then be voted on, and potentially it could be just like crushed and knocked down." He has to deal with his own party, Democrats, and then deal with Republicans to see if it ever goes anywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
It may or may not. We don't really know.
But
We
neither
don't
here
know.
nor there. The fact
Yeah.
is that he would not be the support that he has here in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, and elsewhere. This is really from people who are in that vein, in that YIMBY vein. If
Yeah.
he did it, if he was, the fact is, if he was not a YIMBY, he would
Mhm.
get almost no support. He is relatively radical.
Yeah.
His ideas about uh, uh, biological men going into prisons,
Women's. Yeah. Yeah.
restrooms,
Yeah.
women's female only spaces. It really does not gel with the majority of Americans. They don't want it. They don't like it. It's an
Yeah.
80-20 issue, as everyone
Yeah.
keeps saying. And it really is. It may be even more extreme than that. So that alone, right? That's a big
Hmm.
thing, right? Another very soft on crime. And his
Hmm.
some of did not support Proposition 36, which
Which is
was
horrendous. That is absolutely
horrendous.
the overwhelming majority
Mhm.
of California supported that, voted
Absolutely.
for that, and then he's like, I don't care that
Right.
the voters voted for this. He is opposed to it, and he wants it to be his way. So that's another really, really big red flag, giant red flag to voters that might think about wanting to vote for him. He doesn't care about
No.
his actual constituents. He
No.
just wants to get in. He wants the power like a king, and
Mhm.
just have his own way.
Yes, 100%. And the harm that he has done to San Francisco, some of his legislation has been genuinely
Yep.
ruinous, not just to neighborhoods, but to individuals. Um, some of his legislation that was focused on essentially prostitution,
Hmm. Hmm.
because of him,
Yep. That's an
we were going in
anti-loiter.
a great direction where there were
Yep.
far fewer people walking the streets. And people walking the streets, these are some of the saddest, most damaged human beings on, on the planet.
Yep.
It's
And because he is a state of California senator in
Mhm.
Sacramento, his policies, his bills that he writes and then get voted on and passes, and then Governor Newsom uh, signs them, right? Even though Wiener he lives here and he represents San Francisco, his policies, his laws are up and down the coast of California. They are state legislation pieces, and so they've had horrible effects down in L.A., down with the
terrible.
prostitution. Exactly, terrible effects there. So,
Yeah,
so I'm going to put it out here. Also, this is very important. Is that only San Francisco registered voters get to vote on either Scott Wiener or Connie Chan in November for House of Representatives.
yeah.
And the main reason why Wiener strategically goes for uh, elected office where it depends solely on the voters of San Francisco is because if it was a state wide election where people from around the state would be voting either for him or against him, he would most likely lose in a landslide because
Sure.
he has pissed off so many people all up and down California. And this is why strategically he is still here and is still running as a representative specifically here.
That's right. That's
So,
right. So let's jump into Connie Chan.
Connie Chan, the West Side, um,
Mhm.
she represents District 1, my district, this district
Mhm.
here in City Council, in the Board of Supervisors. She was reelected a couple of years ago. So now she's going to be in the middle of the second half of her second term. If she does succeed and she is elected to the House, she would wind up then leaving her her seat early, and there'd have to be an appointment and a runoff replacement election, which is interesting. But um, she also is controversial to many of the YIMBY people, the people that feel that the city has been dragging their feet on building much needed housing, as they say. And Yimbys, as we know, Erica, one of the things that we lament constantly with the Yimby crowd is they want to build, build, build. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter if it hurts anyone else, doesn't matter if they're going to be bulldozing historic areas. I mean, I'm kind of exaggerating, but the concept is to uh, build a 20, 30, 40 story apartment building right where it's not appropriate.
Mhm.
And that's Scott Wiener.
Yes.
Connie Chan, on the other hand, she is against that. She says it should we need to slow down. We need to um, really evaluate the neighborhood. We have to evaluate is building bigger, building taller, appropriate for the neighborhood. And that has become, as you said, one of the big fighting contentions back and forth to
100%.
candidates. And there are a lot of people who actually agree with Connie, saying we don't want this unlimited building. So Wiener says she's obstructing. She's an obstructionist. She obstructs everything.
Right. Yeah, she is. She is truly obstructing their unfettered desire to
Yeah.
fill in spaces and
Yep.
to
Yep.
change the landscape of the city, landscape
Oh,
of
hold on a second.
California.
What is this? That's
What?
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
but also
Yeah.
let's not. I mean, it's not that she's against building. She
Right.
is just like any normal person. Of
Yeah.
course, build housing is important.
Yeah.
She definitely leans harder into the social housing,
Hmm.
where instead of a building that is constructed for market
Yeah.
rate housing and
Right.
above, she's
which
much
we
more
know is
apt.
which we know is very difficult to do because what winds up happening is once you put all the parameters and regulations and restrictions on building, then the builders, the developers are going to say,
Mhm.
we can't afford to do this. You're not allowing us to somehow recoup our expenses, and so we're just not going to build. And that's one of the
Yeah.
big realities of what's happened here in San Francisco is that you don't have big mass building projects around town. And as a result, you don't see big, big buildings going up and the cranes and construction cranes. And what does Scott Wiener say? Scott Wiener says, I have written the most beneficial legislation to build homes, but then you look to see how many have actually been built,
Very
and
few.
there's a huge disconnect.
Mhm. There is. But I think if you want to look at the most Americans and most San Franciscans, people are very accepting about housing. They do want uh, more affordable housing. I totally understand that. It's the truth lies in the middle as far as we don't, the extremists, none, no housing. Very few people are like that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people on the other side who were like, raise all the single family homes and then, build on top of that.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Right.
I would say the extremism lies in the, and yes, I am showing my bias here, but this is what
Mhm.
I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying this is what I see.
Yeah.
And I find Yimbys to be extremely extremist as
Yeah.
opposed to the
Yeah.
more moderate. And Connie Chan wins on this. I have to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not, it's not like I'm a Connie Chan fan,
Right.
but I do want to
Uh,
say it is the more, um, the
yeah.
approach that most people would like to come to fruition.
A bit more measured.
Yes.
Not right, but more measured, a little bit more calm,
Yeah.
a little bit less extreme rhetoric. Now, that doesn't mean that she doesn't have controversial views or
Correct.
opinions or policies. It just means that, at least from a feeling, if you listen to her, you watch her, um, she's certainly not as combative as Wiener
Mm-mm.
oftentimes gets. Yeah. So
Not at all.
in that aspect, she gets a couple of points on her side. But the thing is, they are both very controversial.
Right.
They both have problematic. Um, they both are exploiting people's views on what has happened with Israel and Hamas and Gaza and the Middle East. They've used that. Both candidates have used that as being a rally point, a talking point. They both wound up coming out calling Israel a perpetrator of a genocide without really talking much about it. They just say, then they move on.
Mhm.
But there have been lots of polls done uh, in in um, in recent weeks, seeing that that topic of Israel genocide, Gaza, Hamas, is really low on the totem pole of priority for San Francisco voters. Yet it just keeps coming up as if it's this major, major issue. But they've used that a lot as a talking point.
That's right.
And related to that, APAC, that's the American Israel, not the political, the Public Affairs Committee. Both of them have also come out and said, we will refuse any APAC money. Well, I don't really know if they're being offered any APAC money. You know, so it's just whatever they're doing to, as I said before, to curry favor. I used to think it was curry flavor. I like curry, but curry favor with voters, and anything that they can do to get a one up on the other
Right.
to bring it across the finish line in November. But I expect this is still August. It's August 25th, 26th. We
Mhm.
still have several months before Election Day. And I think that we're going to see a few more controversies coming out, that they're going to be accusing each other of this and that and the other thing. What do you think? You think it's going to be just smooth sailing, or are we going to have more controversies coming out?
Oh, the waves are going to be very high. It's not
Yes.
going to be smooth sailing at all. But it's an important position. And so
Yeah.
they're going to be fighting with every tool that they have. And they'll be
Because it's a
throwing,
big, the stakes are big.
the stakes are big. Now,
Yeah.
one thing that we didn't point out is that the supporters of Connie Chan she is a progressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
She does not consider herself, she's not a member of the DSA.
But,
How, Yes.
but,
However, these are her supporters. Her supporters do tend to be um on
I'm not sure if you were going to go this way or not, and this is why I said, but um, back in June, we had a four-way prominent candidate race. Only
Mhm.
two of them, the two highest vote getters, go through. The third place finisher was Saikat Chakrabarti, who is DSA, who is a former ARC chief of staffer, who is directly connected to Hassan Piker and Jamal Bowman and all the other farthest left of the left people, the hateful people, the anti-Semitic people, the pro-Hamas, the pro uh, is saying that 9/11, that America deserved 9/11, Hassan Piker people. Those campaign volunteers and staffers from SICOT, when he lost the bid back in June, they pledged now to work with Connie Chan. So that is a real major issue as well.
Right.
You've got these people who are now saying, we potentially will take our rhetoric, our views, and put it onto Connie and try and get those people who are would have been voters for Sykot and now vote for Connie.
Exactly. So we're
Yeah,
seeing this a wedge
yeah.
between the two.
A
The
wedge right in. Yeah,
right, yeah, and so the people who are very much in that socialist vein, they
yeah,
are gravitating or have already gravitated toward
yeah,
Connie Chan, and
yeah,
those who are more, uh, I don't even know
yeah.
what you would call them. What would you call them? People who are, I wouldn't say free market. I
Un,
have to come up with a better description,
yeah,
actually,
yeah, and
because they're still progressive. I'm not saying that they're not.
yeah,
Many
yeah, yeah,
are.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah.
just a different focus
Mhm.
on what they believe is the right
Yeah,
thing to go. So
yeah,
look, and I want to get this really clear too.
yeah.
It is your right as an individual, as a politician, to support that person who you really like and you think is great. I think what's most important is to be honest, um, to instead of conflate it and instead of pretend, oh, that he's a real ally for women. Just be straight, be honest. Why are you supporting him? You're supporting him because this is what you think you're going to get out of the deal. Why are you
Right.
supporting her? Because this is what you think you're going to get out of the
Yep.
deal.
Yep.
So uh, I
Be
would
be
say
honest. Be honest with yourself also, because a lot of people are just repeating these tired rhetoric talking points without really listening to what it is they themselves are saying. They're not listening to the words that are coming out of their mouth.
exactly, exactly. And it comes off as so disingenuous,
Yep.
so false. My
They
eyes
switch
are
on and
rolled.
off. We talked about
Oh,
that. The switch on, switch off. Like, oh, that's a political question. Oh, they're talking about my favorite candidate. Switch on and just start speaking nonsensical things and then switch back on, switch off, and now, okay, go back around your day.
yeah. I have to say, I've been waking up every morning more and more grateful that
In a sweat, in a
no,
sweat. Oh, oh,
no, no, just more grateful that I have
no. Oh,
no political ties. I
yeah,
don't want to be in your party. I want to
yeah,
go to a party, have fun, and go to the next
yep.
party and have fun.
That's right. That's right.
And then when I'm
That's
able to
right.
leave, take my hat and
That's
coat and
right.
leave. And
Uh,
I don't understand now the dedication to hardline
ugh,
movements.
rhetoric and
And what a place
promises
to
and
live.
oh,
It's
yeah,
an ugly, sad to me. Like,
yep,
and I saw that in clear as day when I went to the Wiener rally, where it
yeah,
was just like you people are all here for
yeah,
one reason. It's not because you think he's going to be the better person for
yeah,
the country.
yeah.
It's because you have your own um you want to get something out of this deal. So
That's right.
okay. So let's end this on a
Let's
positive
wrap it
note,
up.
Richie.
I'm going to
Um
go for a nice bike ride here as soon as we finish and
oh
wrap this up.
good.
And also, I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear piano playing or no?
I can.
So
Yeah.
right over here, there's a piano. Can you see it?
Uh-huh.
There's a so it's a public piano here, and someone has you can open it up and you can just sit down. Someone wrote up and is just playing. I'm not sure what he's playing, but yeah, there's a piano there. Okay,
Yes.
so
Okay, well,
let's
listen,
wrap it up. Yeah.
I want to say thank you to the retired SFPD
Hmm?
official who reached out. We are going to connect with you.
Yes,
Thank
we
you
are.
so much. I want to say I'm going to be at a swanky uh, cocktail bar tonight. I will come back with a review.
Nice.
Actually, going to brush my hair and put on some pearls.
Okay,
So,
and
Richie,
I'm gonna take down all the equipment here. I'm gonna jump on my bike and I'm gonna head off into the not into the sunset, but just into the trees and the open road. And I thank you. Thanks everybody for listening and for watching. And Erica, always a pleasure to be here with you on Really San Francisco.
thank you.